Good morning. We are extremely pleased that you are here. It is good to come together for the purpose of co-creating. Do you agree? Co-creation at its best, really. You are knowing what you are wanting. An evolving thing. Are you enjoying how your desire expands? Really? That's a good thing if you are, because that means that you understand that just in the giving birth to a new idea, that the creation not only has begun but is done. In other words, if your new ideas, if your newest of ideas are thrilling you, that means that you're offering no resistance to them, which means the new idea will come to full fruition for you quickly. And in time, you'll get so good at that the new fresh idea will come to fruition immediately. In fact, you can get so in tune with your understanding of creation that in the moment that you hatch an idea, the fruition is so eminent that you will really feel the power of your being. The question and answer happening simultaneously. The problem and the solution so close together that you get focused on the solution and you don't even realize that there was a problem that took you to that leading edge solution. You get so good at understanding the power of your thought that you realize that as problems are coming into focus, so is the solution, but you're so solution-oriented, you're not even aware of the problem that's been coming into focus because you're so in tune with the solution part of the equation. You are vibrational beings and you live in a vibrational universe, and when you accept that, when you understand it, and then when you begin to take positive advantage of that understanding, then every problem, even if you're up to your oil rig in it, you'll feel the solution pulsing so powerfully that the problem won't take you down into justification or blame or defense. When you begin to be the deliberate creator that you were born to be, you will stand mostly in your place of alignment with who you are, feeling appreciation of every situation that causes you to focus, because you understand that focusing and deliberate creating are the same thing. Deliberate focusing and deliberate creating are the same thing. Focusing without deliberate intent can be called creating by default, because you see, you get what you focus upon. You get what you train yourself to expect. So as you focus on things, wanted or unwanted, you develop vibrational patterns. And the longer you focus, the easier it is to maintain that pattern until you develop what could be called a chronic pattern of focus or a chronic vibrational offering. That's really what a belief is. A belief is just a thought you keep focusing on. So once you develop this pattern of thought, which you could call a belief or an expectation means you've got a very well-established vibrational pattern, which means you've got a very well-established point of attraction, which means you're proving your belief to you over and over again. That's why it's so easy to believe it. It keeps happening. Esther will say, well, it's true. And we lovingly say, duh. Actually, Esther says, duh. But we send her the vibrational inclination to say it. In other words, you always get what you expect. And the thing that's tricky for humans in the accepting of that is that you expect a lot of things you don't want. So then when we begin to talk about creation, you say, well, I wouldn't create that because I didn't want it. I would not do that to myself. And we say, we didn't say you did it deliberately or intentionally, but you did do it, because everything that is coming to you is coming in response to a vibrational pattern. Now, sometimes you can say accurately, well, I was taught to expect this. And we say, Well, that's easy to understand, because when you're surrounded by someone or near someone who believes something, then their belief has them attracting it, and as you observe them attracting it, then you're collecting data and you say, see, it's true, so now I believe it. And we say, oh friends, you got to use a different criteria as your reason to give your attention to something. Just because it's true, just because someone believes it, just because it keeps happening, is not a good criteria for you to turn your attention to it, because your attention to it will cause you to create a vibration about it until eventually it will become your point of attraction too. Now, in many regards, that's great. There are all kinds of things that are around you that you want to continue to perpetuate. There are wonderful things in your environment. In fact, most things in your environment you want to participate in. You want to participate in a way. You want to continue to perpetuate them. As Jerry and Esther and Karen were walking from their sleeping room through the wonderful inner workings of this hotel just now, Esther was laughing about a restaurant that they had dinner in last night, and that they frequent this particular restaurant often in different parts of the country. And there's this thing going on where the same thing continues to happen. And Jerry and Esther were talking about it at breakfast this morning, about what they could do to head it off before it happens. And they were having the conversation about expectation, how something happens, you notice it, you talk about it, you remember it, and without even knowing you're doing it, you begin a pattern of expectation. And that pattern of expectation is so soft and subtle you don't even know it's there, but it's strong enough that the restaurant or whoever you're dealing with can't buck the current and give you other than that, even though they would like to and even though they're trained to. So they do it again. It's something so insignificant. Esther orders hot tea. Everyone else around the table orders coffee. Everyone else around the table orders dessert. Esther can hardly wait for her hot tea. The dessert comes, the coffee comes, everyone's eating, everyone's drinking. Esther has no hot tea, which makes her want their dessert. So, as this slight testing and keeping track has begun to be a sort of dominant pattern within Esther, this well-meaning waiter can't buck her current and gives her not what she wants, what she expects. And that is such an interesting thing to understand. You're getting what you want, not what you expect. And then Karen said, she's brilliant, you know, it's like focusing on the one thing, and it really was the only one thing. It was a magnificent evening in every regard. Fabulous food, fabulous fun, fabulous conversation, fabulous friends. Such a wonderful moment in time. Just that one thing, which was the only thing Esther was talking about this morning. Just that one little thing. Karen said, we're like the news. Esther heard that in a new way, because that is like the news, isn't it? All the wonderful things all over the planet, so many wonderful things happening, but the 24-hour news cycle scouring the planet looking for the thing that's unwanted, and then giving it to you and giving it to you and giving it to you and giving it to you in such disproportion to what's really going on, and training your expectation so that you deprive yourself of the well-being that would be there if you were not doing that thing you do that deprives yourself of the well-being that would be there if you were not doing that thing that deprives yourself of the well-being that would be there if you were not doing that thing that deprives yourself of the well-being that would be there if you were not doing that thing that deprives yourself of the well-being that would be there if you're not doing that thing that deprives yourself of the well-being that would be there. In other words, your objectivity is not even fairly balanced. Your objectivity is so skewed because we love you very much. You have become, in your real, innate, core quest to be eternal, which you can't stop being, but to be solution-oriented, you have, most of you, turned to be problem-oriented. Now, it's a really interesting thing. That restaurant gave Jerry and Esther and all of their friends a wonderful, 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 wonderful experience in spite of Esther's expectation. In other words, the only thing that was off was just that one thing. And yet, that still, in Esther's quest for the perfect life, became what she turned her attention to. How screwy is that?